this is Big Boss. It's Foxhound Woodsball, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, and for my blog page at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. I'm also repping the guys over at Acid Tactical, so you can check them out at acidtactical.com. As always, links are going to be in the description to this video. And for today's video, we're going to be looking at battle belts again. Now, the reason why I say again is because I did a video on this several years ago, and I figured as I've acquired a lot of new equipment over the past couple years, as well as my philosophy on the idea has changed, I'm also looking at the concept of how the idea of the battle belt has changed and evolved over the years. At this point, I figured it's best that I do a new video, new article on it, and go from there. Now, as I do this, I'm going to be breaking kind of it down in a couple categories between a primary style and a supporting setup. Now, the reason why I do a standalone and a supporting is because the idea of a battle belt has been either or, depending upon what you're doing, either for a military or in law enforcement role, airsoft, paintball, or some other tactical specialty. The idea of the battle belt itself is pretty much as old as military's been putting a lot of equipment on their belts. And from the historical perspective, this could go back to the early 20th century as far as the equipment that has been carried by armies from the onset of the First World War onward. Soldiers carried web gear, so web gear in a lot of ways is a progenitor to the modern day battle belt as we see it. You could look at anything from the World Wars, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, and you can see that it was a gradual shift from having all the gear on a web belt to having stuff onto a tactical vest, a molly vest, so on and so forth. The belt in a lot of ways hasn't really left us as far as operators, soldiers, police officers carrying equipment or having their equipment on a belt platform, either as a duty setup or as a supporting setup to a tactical gear rig such as a vest, chest rig, plate carriers, and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to be showing a few ideas to that and how you could work on piecing together a battle belt that is either going to be truly customizable, robust, flexible, and for some of us who may be on a budget or whatnot, maybe one of a kind or something that nobody's thought of yet. And we'll be getting right into that, but first, a word from our friends over at Acid Tactical. You can check them out again at acidtactical.com. I will be putting links in the description to this video as always, and we'll be back right after this. Okay, now we're back, and as you can see, I got some gear laid out here. This is essentially your old school Alice rig. This is the old school style H harness, though somewhat more modernized. You got your butt pack. This one in particular is made by Blackhawk. 2 canteen pouches and 4 magazine pouches, 2 on each side. This essentially is what a battle belt has, though the web suspenders on here were optional, more or less. This is essentially a slight modernization to the old Vietnam style, though additional gear was also added because of the butt pack and its mounting capabilities on the side of the butt pack. You could put anything from your bayonet, canteens, additional magazine pouches, entrenching tools, and anything that you need in the butt pack that could fit. That's with the exception of supplementary gear that would be packed into a rucksack or something like that. Other options for something like this would be a sidearm, would be your knife, your bayonet, and things like that. However, a lot of guys like this, a lot of guys didn't. So the main idea for this was basic. This is anything that the average infantry soldier needed in combat, in direct combat, would be able to carry on them for anywhere from just a day upwards to at least 2, depending upon the circumstances. However, with today's modular battlefield, asymmetric warfare, and a few other things, the idea of the battle belt had to evolve. We've also seen that with the police, how back in days gone by, all a police officer had on him was his radio, his weapon, some ammunition, handcuffs, nightstick, and a flashlight. Now, police officers have a full-blown tactical belt on them, more or less, but I digress from that. I'm looking mainly at military-type gear, so I'm going to show a little more of a modernized concept to this thing, so give me 1 minute to prep on that one. Okay, now we're back, and as you can see, I got this thing rigged up with the Bianchi pistol belt, which is something the military used from the 80s to the early 2000s as part of their LC2 Alice load bearing system. I've got it outfitted with a pair of these Molly dive belt adapters. Now, these things are great. You don't have to buy a Molly battle belt piece to slide through a pistol belt, and then you gotta measure it just right. These things, you can actually take 3 or 4 of them and completely Molly this entire belt out for anything, for all your modular needs. However, I only really needed 2. I've got it rigged up for my dump pouch, my magazine pouch, and as you can see, I got the GI Molly 2 canteen / utility pouches. One I'm using to hold a 16-ounce air tank, so that way I could run a primary marker on a remote line. I've got a canteen set up in this one. However, I can use this as a general purpose or an IFAC if I need to. Because this belt is configured to run as a supporting section, I've got it rigged up with the Modern Combat Sports large pistol holster, which holds my TIPX. Got a tactical flashlight in this mag pouch right here for obvious reasons. And I took the CO2 cartridge pouch off my TIPX holster made by Tipman, rigged up with some LC2 Alice clips to rig into here. The canteen pouch is here that I've got rigged here. I'm not using it with Molly. I'm actually running those with one of these Alice to Molly adapters and a pair of Alice clips. I'll flip it over so that way you can see it right now. And as you can see, flipped it over. You got the dotted belt adapters right here, and you've got the canteen pouches rigged onto the belt using the Alice to Molly adapters rigged onto the pouches backward to allow facilitation of the Alice clips onto the belt. That way these Molly pouches become Alice compliant. And you can see I rigged it up with the TIPX pouch so that way it could work on a GI pistol belt. Plus my dump pouch here for my dead magazines. Now, how I'm choosing to run this particular belt is that this is a supporting belt if I'm running a chest rig or I've got a plate carrier on or something else to support having a primary marker as well as having the ability to have a secondary, or I can just run this standalone with a primary because the tank is hooked up to the belt. And as far as magazines go, I'm running this cheapo Chi-Com airsoft magazine pouch. This thing, the standards on here were pretty damn loose, but since it's an adjustable, I got it rigged up to hold one rifle mag for my MK7. And the second pouch here, I got this thing as tight as I can. I can actually have two TIPX magazines in here without that much of a problem. The reason why I have it like this is that I've got 3 mags, 2 for the pistol, a spare for the rifle on one set. This way I could actually run this minimalistically if I have to, or running it as a second line in lieu of wearing a plate carrier or anything like that. As well as carrying a dump pouch on here, so that way I've got the ability to dump my dead mags if I've come across pieces of intel as an objective for a scenario. I could toss in here if I've got to. All in all, this is generally the most optimized setup, utilizing both modern modular equipment as well as having a little bit of an old school flair to it. For a battle belt, you cannot get more tactical than this. A mix of means to adapt the older style belt to the current military standard of Mali, or using some old-fashioned ingenuity, you could put your old stock, your newer pouches on and make them compliant to the older standard. Either way, something like this will be ideal for any tactical situation you encounter. Surprisingly, trying this thing on, the tank actually sits well on the small of my back, so it makes that more than perfect. And I've still got a little bit of wiggle room on here to actually rig up a suspender system if I want to run it with suspenders. Allow me to demonstrate that one real fast. Okay, now I've got the LC2 suspenders here off my H harness. Now I'm going to show what it looks like, how you can rig this up real fast. You want to make sure you've got your holds somewhat decent on your gear rig. Otherwise, it will throw off your balance a little bit. So you can see this is a little tricky because of how everything is set, but once you got this stuff locked in, you'll be able to handle a wide range of ops or mission types. And there we go. And there you go. You've got a full LC2 load bearing setup on a battle belt. You could actually toss this onto a interceptor vest or use this as a supplement to what other type of gear you're running. And this was something that could last you for a long time in the field as a support system, or if you're running a pistol primary, you can do that. And with that being said, you can catch a written version of this over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. I will be posting a link in the description to this video. And don't forget to check out Acid Tactical. You can check them out at acidtactical.com. They sell a good range of IFAK pouches and other pouches for all your tactical needs. Check them out. And with that being said, this is Big Boss, and I'm out of here.